What's going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Thursday, July 27th, a Throwback Thursday. As usual, one of our favorite days of the week, and I'm riding with my usual partner in crime on Thursday's Hat of Opinions, and also on his birthday eve, all the way from Philly. Anthony Ricciardi, how are you doing on this fine Thursday afternoon here in SoCal, evening there in Philly?
I'm doing all right. Not too bad. Not too bad. It's been a little while since I've done one of these with you, a week, but seemed like a long week. But I'm looking forward to talking about the show and the throwback topic.
Absolutely. Let's get right into it. We got Dynamite last night. Was a little controversial with the internet response. I would say, right? I mean, one of those things where we got some Twitter trolls going about it. But at the end of the day, I personally found the show to be entertaining. You know, we had Orange Cassidy versus AR Fox early in the show. How did you feel about this one, Anthony? Did you like anything about it? And we'll talk about what happened later in the show with Fox.
Yeah.
Later in this show. But let's just talk about this one, the title defense. Yeah. Orange and everything.
Just in general, one of the comments that you made, Clark, about like the internet being outraged about the show. Just in general, internet wrestling fans find something to complain about. Not self-promotion, but a little bit. I have a piece on Wrestling Republic's website now. You know, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but you know, it doesn't make it a fact. So you know, this match, even I thought it was a solid match. I thought it was competitive. It was a solid opener. I love wrestling shows when they start with a quality match, especially to open the show. It sets the tone for the rest of the program. AR Fox is one of those talents that's, I don't know why he's never really been signed to a major company. It amazes me that he was, you know, so successful in the indies and no one really signed him. I mean, I know him from Lucha Underground. That's the first time I recall seeing him. I probably seen him in an indie match, but that's vividly how I remember him. I kind of felt I loved the opening video with Darby plugging, you know, how important AR Fox was to him. I thought that was a good way to introduce the crowd that maybe doesn't know AR Fox's history to know who this guy is and why he's a big deal. The end, the way they did it, the heel turn, I'll be perfectly honest, as soon as Darby came out, and this is probably from years of watching wrestling, I went, oh, okay, I know where they're going with this. He's going to be with Swerve. They're going to set up Darby and Nick Wayne against those two. I had a feeling that's where it was going, but we'll get more into that.
No doubt. Yeah, it was a fun opening segment. Orange Cassidy's title reign has been outstanding. There's no doubt about that. Like, as long as he's carried the belt, AR Fox.
It's probably the most solid title reign in the company right now.
For sure. I would agree. Maybe even in history, isn't it? Basically, even the longest. Before we also move into the next subject, we got a couple birthday wishes from my mom and Shadi.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And yeah, but with that, like, let's move on to the Jungle Boy promo, aka the Jack Perry promo, or the Jungle Man Jack Perry promo, as some have been calling for. I thought it was interesting myself, right? This was a fun one. There's a lot of ways you can go with Jerry Lynn getting involved. ECW route, right? I can name some active ECW guys that might be able to suit up along the way. We know Taz can't, right?
Yes.
But RVD can. Jerry Lynn, we just saw maybe. No. But Bully Ray, Tommy Dreamer, maybe a Rhino. You never know. You never know. Along the way to Hook, finally defending both the title his father in ECW's honor. I'm all over it. Anthony, do you share similar sentiments, or do you have different feelings on this one?
No, I actually like the heel turn for Jack Perry. I find it humorous every time that they're pushing it as Jack Perry, and that good old JR got such venom from the wrestling fans when he called them Jungle Jack Perry. That's his name. Like, calm down. But I like the heel turn. I know some fans complained about the music. I like the music only for the fact that it's so different. It's so different than what he had. He had music the crowd chanted, sang with, and did the hand motions. He's got no entrance video, and he's got the Beethoven music. Like, it's such a great heel move. I don't know whose idea it was. I don't know if it was Jack's. I don't know if it was somebody else, but I think it's well done. The promo I liked, that him taking digs at Taz, I think that's the right move. Because that FTW title is not just any title. It's, yes, Taz created it, but it's almost like the family crest. It's almost like a family heirloom, if you want, that Jack has now taken. He has it. And, it annoying Taz and it annoying Hook because it annoys Taz is a smart move. And you're bringing in ECW people. I was completely surprised at Jerry Lynn. I don't know what Jerry Lynn's last match was. It has to be a few years at least. But Jerry is a former ECW world champion. He's also a former Ring of Honor world champion as well. So I think that's a smart play. RVD's always a possibility because I think he recently said that he doesn't think he'll ever retire. He's not signed to anybody. As far as the other people you mentioned, Bully Ray, Dreamer, and Rhino, I believe they're all under Impact contracts, but since Impact sort of has a working relationship with AEW, that opens up the door. I don't know anybody else from ECW that would really... the most obvious one to do, but I believe he's retired, would be Spike Dudley. But as far as I know, he's completely retired and probably would not come back. I'm just thinking size-wise. Like Jack, Spike was always the best at being able to put people over because he's an easy target to beat up. So he's a possibility, but I think it's a very small one. I'm curious to see where they go with Jerry. Where does this lead? I don't see Bully coming in only because Bully's a heel anyway. So, but he did play a babyface.
He's not an ECW heel, right?
It's correct. He just did a match at the 2300 arena with Cardona defending the arena. So, like, when it comes to ECW, he's a face, but we just saw him feud with Dreamer in Impact. Playing the heel role. So I don't think he would be brought in. Them bringing Jerry Lynn in makes sense because he is an agent and works for Tony Khan, so it makes sense.
Right.
RVD, if they brought RVD in, my guess would be it would have to either be all in or all out. I would see them bring him in for a pay-per-view. Personally.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. It's one of those things that it's kind of a shame because I think the logical actual move, if you could do it, if Taz could survive a match, is to get all the way to Jungle Boy beats Taz and then Hook.
I do think we're going to see Taz do the choke out. I think you're going to see Taz do the choke out on Jungle. I do think you're going to see that, but I don't think Taz ever got the neck surgery. Or am I wrong? I don't think he ever actually got it.
I don't believe he could possibly be cleared after the broken neck.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think he ever got the surgery.
And that's no knock on him, right? That's
no, absolutely
a horrifying career ender.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a lot at play here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love the idea of including ECW, in the mix. Storytelling wise,
they have to be careful.
It's fun.
They don't own the rights, but yeah,
it's fun, right? You can't exactly say that, but FTW, we know what that represents.
Well, and Taz owns that. ECW never did.
Exactly. And but with that, let's move on to the next one from last night, which was Pac versus Gravity. So there's the one that Gravity forgot against the one named after the physics principle.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about this one, dude?
It's funny that you mentioned that, Clark, because when this match happened, I thought to myself, I'm going, okay, is this a rib that like literally Gravity's first match is against a guy who was known as the man that Gravity forgot back in NXT? I thought that was interesting. I really don't know much about Gravity, to be honest with you. So I don't remember if I've ever actually seen him wrestle. I know he has. I think he did on a show, but I think I missed it. I don't know if he was on Collision or was he on the Ring of Honor show? He was on a show, wasn't he, recently?
He was on ROH. And
I
will say this, we live watched it, and
I missed the beginning of it.
We're a skosh critical of Gravity. Hey, all due respect.
He's Bandito's brother, which I thought was interesting. I didn't know anything about him. Out of the, I don't think he's as good as Bandito though. Bandito, granted, I know Bandito's been doing it longer, but this match, it was all right. It was certainly not my favorite match on the card, and I thought, the one thing I do have to say is I am not a fan of Pac's new music or video. It reminded me of getting up to like the final boss in a Sonic the Hedgehog game. I don't know. I don't know when did they change his music? Was it recently?
Yeah, pretty recently.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about that. But the match definitely it delivered what it needed to. I think Pac really helped showcase Gravity personally. I think that's what it was probably designed to do. And Pac winning made sense. He's supposed to be the bad guy. He's supposed to be, beating people down. I've always liked Pac. I always thought he was somebody that you could do a lot more with. I know WWE didn't view it that way. And his booking in the AEW hasn't been consistent, but I'm hoping we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, I definitely hear where you're coming from there. It's one of those things with Pac where he's so immensely talented and he's so brutal. I mean, it's implied in the Brutalizer, right? Like
yes.
You expect pure violence out of Pac every time you see him, and at times it is what it is. But I would say, yeah, Gravity, if you're a basketball fan, Gravity and Bandito is a little bit like saying like Steph and Seth Curry. Just saying. No offense, Gravity. I do dig the Buzz Lightyear themed gear that he wore at ROH. That was awesome. That was fun. So I will end with a positive on that one, and then let's talk about a heel turn we saw last night, which is we saw Swerve and Orange Cassidy, and then we saw AR Fox join the Mogul Embassy. How did you feel about this one? AR Fox, I think, is immensely talented.
Yes.
I loved him being in the trio with Top Flight.
Yeah.
Top Flight seems to have a bit of an injury problem, and that's not their fault. Injuries happen. People get injured. You can't control that. But
you can't fake Gravity.
This is as good of it. There you go. No pun.
Yeah.
That was good.
That was funny.
That was classic.
Yeah.
But no, so, you can't do something when your team is gone. And I think this is a better opportunity joining the Mogul Embassy, joining up with Swerve. Did you feel similar? How do you feel about the future for AR Fox? Is there kind of maybe a tag team running the cards? That was kind of my first thought. What if you pair AR Fox and Swerve?
That's what I kind of thought. With the moment they did the little Darby confronting AR, what are you doing? I'm like, okay, he's joining up with Swerve. I pretty much already knew that. And again, that's just from years of watching wrestling. You're like, okay, this is probably where it's going because Darby likely needs another person to match up with Nick Wayne when they eventually do a tag match. You know, I remember Swerve and AR Fox feuding in Lucha Underground, and they were violent matches. I believe it was on, I forget what the Ultima Lucha, I forget what they called their season finale, but it was a brutal, brutal match. I do remember that. So I think AR Fox and Swerve could have chemistry. I don't know if they've ever tagged together on the indies. That I don't know. But I think they could do well. I'm thinking probably All In would be my guess. Either All In or All Out is going to be Swerve and AR against Darby and Nick Wayne. That's my guess. I'm assuming that's where it's going, but I guess we'll find out.
Definitely. That's one of those things too, where like working Nick Wayne into the situation, it makes a lot of sense too, given his moveset and that matchup. That adds up really quickly.
Give him the polish.
To kind of feature him. Yeah, absolutely. People that can handle that level of speed and intensity for a young kid and are also experienced enough to be able to slow it down when necessary.
Exactly.
That I could not agree more with. Let's move on to one that last night was I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to say it was unfortunately controversial for no reason. And that's Britt Baker versus Taya Valkyrie. I think we're talking about two of the most talented women's wrestlers on this planet. Complaints wise, was it? I mean, the question that, I would ask is, was it as bad as the internet made it? Absolutely not. I didn't think it was even fully bad. Was it either of their greatest performance? No. But I make the comparison of when Michael Jordan has a bad game, who are you to say it was a bad game? And we're looking at Britt Baker and Taya Valkyrie, two world-class athletes, and the vitriol on the internet about Taya Valkyrie was disgusting. That's ridiculous. It's one of the best women's wrestlers on earth, and there's no doubt about that. In every company she's been in, she's not only contributed, but been valuable and played her role as well as anyone and adapted to what her role needed to be, changed names, changed gimmicks, changed everything. Works an awesome moveset, powerhouse, beautiful woman, everything. That's a joke. Stop with that, with the IWC thing. I can't stand it. And Britt Baker, she's amazing as always. Was this as bad as the internet says? My answer, no way in a million years. No, it wasn't. Knock it off. That's silly. Was it their best match ever? No, but that doesn't even matter. And I'm going to leave it at that. Anthony, what were your thoughts on this match?
I think as far as the internet wrestling community, when you have two top stars, first time wrestling each other, it can go one of two ways. Either it can be a masterpiece or it gets clunky. Not everybody has a perfect game every time out. It's rare when you have a situation, and Clark, you'd appreciate this. It's a little bit of a throwback. Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle. Those two men never wrestled each other, never were in a match together. The first time they were ever in the ring together, one-on-one, was at WrestleMania and delivered an absolute WrestleMania masterpiece. That doesn't mean everybody's the same way. Britt and Taya, they're learning each other because they've never been in the ring with one another. It doesn't always go perfectly. Now, if they wrestle each other again, in theory, it should be a better match because they know each other at least a little bit better. Was it either one's best match? No. But it happens. Botches happen. Things happen. I don't think it was exactly horrible. And taking shots at Taya's personal appearance, there's no excuse for that. There's literally no excuse. If you don't like the match, that's fine. You could say the match was bad. You could say that. It's a legitimate opinion if you have an issue with the match. But when you start taking shots at the person behind the cat that does the match, no, come on. Talking about her personal appearance, she's a successful woman in this industry. She's held gold pretty much everywhere she's been. WWE is the only place I don't think she didn't win any belts. She's been MLW Women's Champion. She's won the title on Impact. She's probably going to eventually get one in AEW, assuming, how things go. It was an off night. It was an off night for the two of them. Was it their best? No, but probably still better than some other people's matches.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. And at the end of the internet vitriol was just ridiculous, disgusting. And of all people, Taya Valkyrie, like nobody cooler, beautiful, long time. Like Taya's done a lot for us as wrestling fans, right? She's had an amazing career. Giving us awesome moments and throughout, and nobody deserves that, let alone Taya Valkyrie. And so just know, monster shout out Taya, by the way. I got to say that myself. But with that, let's move on to our final segment of the evening before
Throwback, yes.
The Throwback segment that we're all stoked about, which we haven't even unveiled today. Maybe that's on me. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a surprise. I don't know. It's also in the title, so there is that. Or it's in the description, I believe. Either way.
No, I think this whatever. Go ahead.
We got Lucha Bros Best Friends versus Claudio and Moxley. We got another, basically, I said this yesterday when I did the preview. I was like, why would you have a three-way match not for a title? And this, I would have been more inclined to complain about this morning, this afternoon, this evening, depending on where you are, over Taya and Britt, if that was the case. I'm not even gonna do that. It's not worth it. It was fine. We had 6 amazing wrestlers in the ring. That's great.
Yeah.
And if that's why we're overly complaining, if those are the 2 big complaints about last night's show, I don't get it. I want your insight on the match, Anthony, and then just break down as a whole on Dynamite. This wasn't the greatest show ever, but it wasn't like it didn't not to double negative us here. It didn't not nudge storylines along. It didn't not advance stories. It didn't. I don't get it. I can't understand it myself. Was it the best show I've ever seen? No, but it was entertaining.
Yeah. Before I get into this one match, I do want to mention, because we didn't cover it, the Darby Swerve match. It was, those two have incredible chemistry together. Darby is one of those performers I've been watching since Evolve. And I remember thinking back then going, this guy's got a lot of talent. But I was like very much a young Jeff Hardy. But my only concern with Darby, especially watching him last night take a super Death Valley driver onto the ring apron, which I thought was an insane move to take. But that's what Darby does. My only concern with Darby in general is I'm afraid that his career is going to be a lot like, and you would get this reference, Clark, Tim Lincecum, the former pitcher of the Giants.
Yeah.
He called him the Freak because of how he threw a ball. And I remember thinking back then, going, this guy's not going to have a long career, because the moment he blows his arm out, it's done. I'm very concerned the way.
By the way,
Darby,
not even to be the detail guy, it's even gnarlier. He blew his hip out before the arm went. It's even wilder.
Yeah, but like my concern is Darby's going along the same line of going, yes, he is an amazing talent, but that style, he's not going to be able to keep up, because at some point something's going to give out. We see that with Jeff Hardy now. Like he's struggling, and Darby might even be more reckless than Jeff at the same age. But I just wanted to touch on that since we didn't really cover that. The three-way tag team match, I agree with you. I think it probably would have made more sense, best friends against Claudio and Mox, because of Mox attacking Orange earlier in the night. It would have fit. I thought it was a solid match. It was entertaining. It was kind of all over the place. I don't think it was a great closer for the show. But to me, I think the way I would have closed it, I think I would have closed it with Darby and Swerve, because I think that was probably the best match of the night, at least from my opinion. I think that might have been the best match of the night. I thought this was good. It set up for, I guess, next week with a triple threat. Although, and I don't remember off the top of my head the three people, but they set up another triple threat. But I thought I remember thinking when they announced the three, I was like, that's an odd choice of three people. But by the way, I don't remember this back years ago. I know they've been doing it for the past several years. When did triple threat matches or fatal four ways become no disqualification?
Okay, this is actually odd to me. Okay.
Yeah.
For years, I didn't remember it, and I was watching a DVD, and I can't remember off the top of my head which one it was. It's probably actually behind me in my room, but one of the old, I believe it was like Backlash, maybe 01 or 2.
Okay.
And there's you know what it is? It's No Way Out 01. It was Austin. You had 3 Stages of Hell, Austin, and Triple H. Then you had the Fatal 4-Way to end the night with Kurt Rock and
Taker?
The other two. It was a 4-way. Whatever to end the night. Okay. Triple H was one of the 3. I don't think Taker was the 4th. Actually, I think it might have been even Jericho, to be honest. No, it wasn't Triple H either.
He was in the 3 stages.
Either way, it's a 4-way. Oh, Big Show is one. Big Show is one.
All right.
Big Show is one, and then it might have been Jericho.
Okay.
That's really not the point. But that's the first time that I can remember, because I had the same thought in my head, and then not about last night, but like recently, right?
Yeah.
And so backing up, it's so funny watching that match. I was like, wait a minute. Oh no, that's kind of always been the deal. Then you go look at the triple threat match from Mania with Edge, Reigns, and Daniel Bryan at the time, right? Bryan Danielson. Chair shot.
Yeah.
Uses the title in front of the referee, no ref bump.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, how long has this been? It just went right over my head.
It's one of those things that
but it's logical because
I could have swore they've done disqualifications years ago.
I don't think so, because it's logical, because as much as maybe you could tell this story once, it's just exhausted. Why would the heel not get themselves disqualified in every multi-man match they've ever been in?
No, I listen.
You just right away just grab the title and hit someone with it.
No, I understand.
Yeah, kick the timekeeper, kick the referee, you're still the champ.
I just wonder, am I misremembering that that's happened before? Almost like the people that were convinced in the 90s that Sinbad made a genie movie, and he's adamant. He's like, I didn't make it. You remember this, but it never happened.
It doesn't exist.
That's how I feel with the disqualification thing, because I know they've been doing it for years of going, hey, if it's a 4-way, 3-way, whatever, it is no disqualification. But I could swear we've seen disqualifications, at least during the Attitude Era.
Another one that I could think of was post Attitude Era, at least by Ruthless Aggression, it was fully no DQ, because wasn't there a Triple H? There's a chair shot in WrestleMania 20 main event. Triple H, Shawn, and
Benoit.
Yeah, that guy. And so
who shall not be named.
Comment here. Mandela.
Yes, exactly. The Shazam thing. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Sean.
I think they insisted the Sinbad thing was Kazam, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Either way, let's get into Throwback. And it's funny because I talked about Billy Gunn, and I'm really glad we're talking about the New Age Outlaws.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about both Billy Gunn and Road Dogg.
Yeah.
Underrated legends. And we had, I'll get right into it. The New Age Outlaws, in my eyes, are the greatest misfit tag team of all time. We've seen for the last few weeks people talk about MJF and Adam Cole being, oh, this misfit tag team and it's only going to last so long and da da da. Guess what? The Road Dogg and Billy Gunn were misfit tag team, and they're top 5 all time easily. Not really close, actually. Honestly, they're high top 5, like arguably top 3. And we could get into that another time. That's not the point. The Road Dogg and Billy Gunn's fingerprints are all over this industry. It's to this day, not just Attitude Era wise. Road Dogg is booking live events right now for WWE. Billy Gunn is mentoring arguably the most organically over tag team in AEW history, the Acclaimed. I get it. He set his boots down last week. It's not the point. These are two that need to be celebrated that we forget about. We talk Edge, Christian. We talk the Dudleys. Love them both. We talk the Hardys. We talk all kinds of teams. The New Age Outlaws beat everyone. The New Age Outlaws rolled a dumpster off the side of the stage with both Terry Funk as Chainsaw Charlie and Mick Foley as Cactus Jack inside of it. The moments that they provided us, the entrance at Madison Square Garden at Rumble 2000, the entrance period, it is absolutely a top 5, if not top 3. I'm going to call them top 3 myself. Tag team of all time. Anthony, let's talk about the New Age Outlaws. Let's break down kind of career-wise.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. The Outlaws were such a special team. And it was unique because when I got into wrestling, it was at the time where they were the guys. They were feuding they carried the tag division. You talk about misfit tag teams. They were two guys they didn't know what to do with. And they went, we'll just throw them together. 9 times out of 10, it usually doesn't work out. But in this situation, these were two pieces that made a whole. Because Billy wasn't the mic guy, Road Dogg was. Billy was the guy in the ring, probably one of the best pure athletes that's ever been in the industry. JR would say that constantly on commentary. And at the time when they rose to prominence, it was the Attitude Era, and their characters, the degenerates that they would become, as eventually be DX. It was, again, the same period when South Park was really in its infancy and its rise. Like, you couldn't go anywhere without seeing a South Park shirt. The Outlaws, I think, even wore a South Park shirt on air multiple times. That was the same demographic. They were going for the same demo. And the Outlaws, people forget, they didn't have that many reigns. I think 5 or 6, but during the Attitude Era, it might have only been 3 or 4. I think it was like 4.
Weren't they 7-time champions total?
We'd have to look that up. I want to say they have it 5 or 6, but I can't swear to it.
So they held the WWE Tag Team Championship one time. This is according to Wikipedia.
Oh no, that's the copper penny ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Then they held the WWF World Tag Team Championship 5 times.
Okay, so it is 6.
So it's 6.
Yeah, I thought they were 5, and then the other one made it 6. But at some point during a throwback, we need to cover WrestleMania 14. That was event. It was the Outlaws against Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie in the dumpster match, which was a result of what you talked about earlier when they threw the dumpster off the stage on Raw. It's still one of the best matches. And I really need to go back and rewatch it, to be honest.
It's also it's 7 total reigns if you include their reign in TNA.
Okay, gotcha.
World title reigns.
They were what was the Gun Club? No, they weren't Gun Club. They were Voodoo Kim Mafia, but before that, I forget.
They were the
James Gang.
Oh, hang on. Gang. Actually, well, the James Gang, let's get into that. Hang on. Let me toss it back to myself for a second here. So they BG and at that time BG James, Road Dogg and Billy Gunn leave the WWE and they end up in TNA. Mm-hmm. And in their very final match in WWF or E at the time, I can't confirm that either or, but they wrestled in a 6-man tag match with K-Quick.
Yes.
Who, as we know now, is R-Truth.
Mm-hmm.
And then they formed and when I say they, it starts with Road Dogg forms the 3 Live Crew with K-Quick, now Raw and the Truth Killings, and Conan.
Mm-hmm.
BG James is added, and then we end up, Kip James is added, being Billy Gunn. They become the James Gang, further lead into the Voodoo Ken Mafia, a shot at Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Yes.
It was it's one of those things where it wasn't the highlight of either career, but in hindsight, it's also hilarious.
Well,
the fact though that R-Truth ends up being what, a 47 time,
yes, something like that,
24/7 champion, on top of everything he accomplished, and very early in his career is let go in a position that is really tough to come back from. Being released from WWE, WWF at the time, maybe early, almost, right? Early in your career when you're young. And he goes to TNA and works with Billy Gunn and Road Dogg, works with the New Age Outlaws as a part of a group. And we see what he was able to do in his career and able to accomplish. So talented, something we could have missed out on if he's not, riding with those guys, not hanging with those guys, not working with that team. We forget how truly big of legends these guys are. And I mean, with that, before I toss it right back to you, Shoddy, our good friend, and we'll see you next Thursday, Shad, for sure, with ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. D-Generation X proudly brings to you the WWF Tag Team Champions of the World, the Road Dogg, Jesse James, the badass Billy Gunn, the New Age Outlaws. Nailed it, my friend, as best I could for everyone. But seriously though, what a career, and both guys so accomplished.
So during that Voodoo Kim Mafia period, they were doing promos outside Titan Tower, and they both openly say now, personally, they had their addictions, and it was a really bad time for them. Both of them acknowledge that now. And between that and some shoot interviews that they did, that prevented them bringing them back into the company when Triple H and Shawn had their DX reunion, because they wanted to. I think they wanted. Road Dogg talked about this, that he was told that like they wanted to bring him in, and somebody went, "Hey, did you see this stuff that they did?" And it was like, no. So that's what prevented it. I'm very happy that they've all mended fences. We've seen them together. The DX Hall of Fame. We saw all that stuff. One of the other things with the Outlaws, just in general, like Billy's had several successful tag teams. He had the Smoking Guns with Bart prior to the Outlaws, and post Outlaws, he had a successful career with Chuck Palumbo, with Billy and Chuck.
Absolutely.
Which gained a lot of traction. But for me, like when I think of Billy Gunn, and I think I've told you this, Clark, at one of the wrestling conventions I went to, I met the Outlaws. I have a photo with the Outlaws. And super nice. They were great. But I always remember them as the Outlaws. They were so good. For a team that was thrown together, it felt like both guys found their other half. Like, it didn't feel like a thrown together team, which a lot of times is the problem. Like, AEW just did the blind eliminator, and they were thrown together teams. It's hard to get chemistry with that, but the Outlaws had it. Even one of the most iconic, not Outlaw related, but Billy Gunn related. They tried to push Billy as a singles guy. They called him the one Billy Gunn, as they were trying to get away from, his other monikers. And he won the King of the Ring in 99. And the plan was, he's going to face The Rock at SummerSlam. And that led to one of The Rock's most iconic promos, Billy Gunn talking to God. And, Rock doing, "Now, Bob, but my name's Billy. It doesn't matter what your name is." And Billy Gunn has talked about that because fans went, "Oh, that buried Billy. That's why that didn't succeed." He's like, "Listen, I didn't take it personally. I laughed hysterically in the back. It was hard for me not to laugh when he was cutting the promo while I was out there." One of the other things, and I want to just throw this in before we run out of time, on the WWE Treasure Show, they were getting stuff from DX. Like, they tried to track down the tank that they invaded WCW with. And one of the things is Mick Foley went to Road Dogg's house, and Road Dogg had some display stuff. He's like, "I don't have a lot for my wrestling career." He goes, "Some stuff I gave away, some stuff I sold to fuel my addictions." Like, one of the things he had in there was the WWF tag title, not a replica, the one that he had with Billy. And Road Dogg says, "Listen, you could have this back because I was not supposed to have this to begin with." Mick goes, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Well, when I was working there, somebody in the warehouse said it was there, and I just stole it."
That's hilarious.
So he goes, "They never press charges. It can go back where it belongs." But yeah, because you could see it was all worn. It was not a replica. It was the one that was used. It was the same one that teams like the Road Warriors had, and all these other teams had. Apparently, it was sitting in the warehouse or something like that, and Road Dogg was either took it or somebody gave it to him that wasn't authorized to give it to him. But it was so funny. He's like, "You can have it back." So I always enjoyed that.
That is iconic. I actually did not see that story myself, even before the show. I mean, that's hilarious. I love that. Honestly though, where do you have them in your top 5 list real quickly before we go home here?
For me, I have the Dudleys at 1, Usos at 2.
Whoa.
And then either the Briscoes and then maybe the Outlaws.
I go Dudley's, Road Warriors, Outlaws, personally. But no, we can't get into this discussion. This is a discussion we need to get into soon. And I'm thinking maybe next Thursday, unless there's a real logical anniversary. We're talking all-time tag teams next Thursday. So if you're still hanging in here with us,
either that or get Chaos with a table.
That too. We might have to get the tables. Speaking of the Dudleys,
yes.
No, that's the point. With that, though, that brings us to the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Happy Throwback Thursday, everybody. Thank you for joining us. If you're on Spotify, we love our audio listeners. 5-star review. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do. That'd be awesome. And if you're already here, just click. You got it. I know you can.
Flirt believes in you.
No big deal. You just click. You got it. And we'll be back tomorrow at noon Pacific, 9 a.m. Hawaiian. I'm going to go out of order this time. 8 UK, 5 Eastern. You guys figure that out. Just replay it too. Maybe
I believe it's
help.
3 Eastern, Clark.
Give it some more watch time. Yeah, 3 Eastern. Same thing. Whatever. Either way.
Says the guy who's not on the Mo show.
We're going to advertise it on the Instagram. If you're not following that, do follow that too. This has been an awesome Throwback Thursday. Also, happy birthday, Anthony. One day early. Happy birthday, Eve. All love. Talk to you guys soon.